There's never been a better time than now to stop what you're doing and tune in to Straight Up, TAB Radio's weekly podcast that will guide you through the difficult journey that is the punt. Whether it be racing or sport, the Straight Up team has your back. Now, from the studios of TAB Radio, welcome to Straight Up.
Yes. Welcome along, Rylie Morgan. How are you?
Good, Mart. How are you?
We're flying. We're up and about, ready for a big one today on Straight Up. We're McGuinity for that Ascot preview, but we've got a bit to do before then. And joining us is the president of the Esperance Bay Turf Club, Ken Norton. A very good afternoon, Kenny.
Good afternoon, Marty. Good afternoon, Rylie.
Kenny, good to have you joining us on the program this afternoon. How are preparations for this Saturday's transferred meeting there at Esperance?
Yep, everything's going fine. I think everyone will be in hibernation tomorrow. We'll be heading for a high of 44 degrees, so it was the right move moving to Saturday.
And what's the forecast for Saturday, Ken?
About 27 last time I looked.
Perfect.
Wow. There you go.
Perfect. It'd actually work in better for you anyhow, wouldn't it, being on a Saturday?
I think so in the end. I mean, we've got a commitment to take some Rock Friday meetings
Yes.
if we do it and enjoy, but that's the case. I think we've worked pretty well because there's only Ascot on. Other than that, we would have been in trouble.
Gee, I thought the track played pretty fairly at that last meeting, Ken, and in recent seasons the fence has been a place of, I guess, a questionable part of the track for horses that have made their runs along that fence, but it seemed to play brilliantly, or the best it has for a while at that last meeting.
Yeah, well, it was only last season that we had trouble with horses on the inside. Before that, I can't remember it being any problem, but we only ever moved the rail 2 metres, basically. This year we've been coming out to 4, and we got the rail out at 4 metres this meeting, sorry.
Okay. All right, before we go through your sponsors, race number 6 on the card over that 1,200 metres, the 70 plus, has brought together a really good field. Debonair probably needed the run first up for Fiona Scott, for Scotty, Team Scott and Victoria Corver, and of course Hilton for Nicholas Thomas was a big winner first up at the big odds. So and there's plenty of other players in the race, but this is a highlight race on the program.
Yeah, I think so, and I know Hilton won well last start, but I'm going to lean towards the Debonair. It's had that Calgary season, and it's the kicking off from barrier 1, and I think it needed to hit out that last start when it ran third.
Looks hard to beat, that's for sure, in that 70 plus. Yep. But gee, Nick Thomas, for a part-time trainer, his horses are absolutely airborne at the minute, and Hilton's a horse who has certainly proven himself in the grade previously, Marty, and if he can get this horse back to his best, he's going to be very competitive, I think, on the weekend. I
think all indications that his last win, Kenny, was he's very close to being back at his best. So, I think he had a virus in that previous campaign that only went for a couple of runs and he didn't show his best. Let's run through the sponsors at the meeting. Esperance Smash Repairs, Kia Carnival. We've got Class Harvest Centre, Farmgate, also a Chop and Block Butchery. That's one for McGuinity. Love that. Spotty's Mechanical Handicap. And in the last, it is the Kia Seltos GT. But it's also Ken Family Day out there on Saturday. Yeah,
Family Day has happened over the last couple of seasons, and it's been put together. And one of the main drivers behind this is Chelsea Porter. She's done a brilliant job of organising this. And any money's raised, it goes to Dolly's Dream, which is a charity that we all know about. So congratulations to Chelsea and the work she does on that. But on the day, it's a gold coin entry, so basically it's free entry, but we'd love the people to put into their pockets, and all money goes to Dolly's Dream. For the kids, we got pony rides. They've got a mechanical horse, face painting, a hobby horse racing. They're going to run a raffle, which has got real good prizes, including a trip to Woody Island. So it'll be a great day out, and I think it's going to be a plus moving from the Friday to the Saturday.
I think so too as well, Ken. More people going to be on course there as a result on the weekend, I think, with the transferal of the meeting. Ken, how many more meetings are there at Esperance this season from Saturday onwards?
5 to go.
5.
Including Saturday.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's been a terrific season again. Tell us about the Boxing Day meeting. It looked like to be a huge crowd there. Did it hit expectations and budget?
A real good crowd. In fact, exceeded our numbers that we thought we were going to get, and it built up late. It was a really good day for us at the club. All our crowds have been good this season.
Tell us about the impact you think the boys with 7+ going down there and covering the racing. What's the feedback you've been receiving about that?
No, it's got to be great. And I'm getting feedback on it that people are listening. People which wouldn't have heard of Esperance before because they listen to it and they can see it. And it's all good. And we've got Crashane will be down this meeting.
He's back.
Run it from, well, so I believe.
Yeah, no, he took the...
He's coming.
He'll be there. He'll
in
be
violation to his very highly priced contract, Crashane decided to take, I think it was the last meeting off. We rang him up for tips on the Friday. He said, mate, I'm sunning myself in Bali or somewhere. And scant regard. So it's good to hear that he's back, the great man, because he can normally tip as a winner.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good at it.
What's that?
So we're looking forward to Crashane here. He'll probably do a lot of it from up in the commentary box, but he has asked me about getting a roving mic, so I'm doing my best because my IT man is away at the moment, but he'll be back for the races.
Roving Crashane.
That's a worry.
He's listening in, the big man. He's just sent in a text as well. He said, be careful. His lawyers are listening, he said.
Yeah, right.
Kenny, always good to catch up. We'll have Crashane on with his tips tomorrow. All the best for the big meeting on Saturday. I think it'll be a beauty.
Go well, Kenny.
Hang on, Ken, before you go, you got a winner?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Debonair.
Following you in, Mark. Yeah, good call.
Yep, I think that'll be my bet of the day, whatever price it starts at.
All right, there you go. Any price, a good price. Thanks, Ken.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys.
President of the Esperance Bay Turf Club, Kenny Norton.
Having a chat at the airport at the last meeting with legend of the Esperance Bay Turf Club, Kevin Scott.
Oh,
he
yes.
was saying how much he's loving the 7+ coverage as well.
What was he saying about Debonair?
Didn't actually have a chat to him about Debonair, but gee, I reckon of what this horse was able to do last campaign in Kalgoorlie, if it needed the run and has come on from that run first up, Mart, he's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, but kudos to Hilton. Hilton was very good first up.
Well, we actually had Nick Thomas on the show during the week a couple of days ago.
What did he have to say?
And I said to him, if you've got $50, Nico, you got to take either Hilton or Lucky Sue. Who are you having your money on? And he went with Lucky Sue.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, he's balked at Debonair, the big boy. All right, good luck to him. It's going to be a terrific meeting, and we'll be obviously covering that on TABradio as well very closely, along with the Ascot meeting.
McGuane gets past Brown. They're lifting the pies. They can sense it. McGuane's had 5 bounces. Nearly get another one. Round he goes. In he goes to an open goal. Mickey McGuane, goal of the year.
Mick McGuane joins us on Straight Up for this AFL preview thanks to Dankz Furniture.
You won't see better than that.
With 6 local stores in the metro area, there's one near you.
Yes, a very good afternoon to Mick McGuane for Dankz Furniture. Hi, Mick.
G'day, Marty. Rylie, how are you, boys?
Good, thanks, Mick. Good to have you joining us once again. It's obviously Australian Open fever over in Melbourne there at the moment. Are you much of a tennis man, Mick?
I used to call it hit and giggle when I was a kid, mate. I love the footy and cricket, to be honest.
Yeah, no, same. I'm in the same camp. Same camp, footy and cricket for me. Now, bit of news from an AFL sense over the last few days, Mick, with a few injuries starting to filter through, and none more prominent than Sam Walsh and a hamstring injury that's going to put him back a month in his pre-season.
Yeah, and that might be hoping that is the best case scenario too, because I don't think they will really push the envelope there in relation to his recovery and rehab. They want to ensure that he's 100% right so he doesn't have a recurring theme throughout the season, considering the draw they've got, his importance to that midfield group, and the running power that he possesses. Once fatigue sets in, the first thing he'll go is a hamstring, and we know he runs hard and runs often. So I reckon that might be a little bit of a conservative angle there in hope that he can get back in a month. I wouldn't be surprised if it extends past that 4-week period because of the history that he's had with not only his back, but now more so the hamstring. So will we watch this space? Carlton people would be wanting him back in the fold because he's such a prominent on-field figure in that midfield group with Cripps and also De Koning, who will be a ruckman this year, and George Hewitt and even Jagger Smith, who would be probably looking at Sam Walshy as a role model going forward.
You talk to any physio or sports scientist, Mick, and they'll be very quick to tell you that it's all sort of connected in that area of the body. You would have to start, I would say, being a bit concerned now with Sam Walsh, obviously with the chronic back injuries that he has faced in his career up until this point, and the fact that he's now, obviously, he'll miss a month with this hamstring injury, that there are some issues that he's facing with his body in terms of whether he can get it up for long enough to perform at his best during the season.
I've watched him over the last probably 3 or 4 years closely when I've had the opportunity to go and train. One thing that stands out watching a guy like that, he's a dead-set professional. Like the best athletes in the competition nowadays, you have to be that if you want to maintain a high level of standard. To watch him recover from his back injury a year or so ago was just a delight to see a man build into his preparation, knowing what he could do and what he can't do. And he was probably chafing at the bit a little bit. I want more. That's me. Give me more, and I'll respond to that. But I think the wiser you get and the more games you play and the understanding of your body, I think he'll refrain to the powerful workload that he's been well renowned for. And I think he'll understand that the sports science people at the Carlton Football Club will try to get him back out into the ground. And once he gets back out in the ground, he's not going to have any recurring theme with this injury component. So, yes, to a point, I think you would be a little bit concerned, he the individual, but also supporters. But you've just got to trust the sports science people who certainly understand what it takes to get people out on the field quickly if necessary, but also they'll take a conservative approach knowing full well that he's such an important player to that group.
Hey, Mick, the news from Port and Todd Marshall, not good. He's gone in the Achilles. What's this going to mean for this new look Port Adelaide forward line? Because he was going to be a major part of that.
Without doubt. We know he's such a important player to their structure. I don't think we've seen the best of him, and I suppose it's fair to say there's a bit of Oscar Allen in Todd Marshall. They just need to be out in the park for their sides to grow and to prosper, and I think he's such an important player now, more so now that Port Adelaide haven't got Charlie Dixon, but you can't be a good player in the grandstand. So that's where Mitch Georgiadis and others in that part of the ground have really got to step up to the plate, knowing full well that a player like that, who they need, I must say, won't be out there at the start of the year. So let's hope he recovers quickly. He's got great footy IQ. You can see when you watch a Port Adelaide game in Melbourne at the MCG, for example, if they play there or Etihad Stadium, you just see the running patterns and the selfless nature of him because he understands the nuances of forward play. It's all about what's the best option. I'm not taking my opponent into a contest to make it a 2v2 in the air. I'll make a decision where the defender has to stay with me so I stay dangerous, but also I'll give the opportunity to Mitch Georgiadis or whoever it may be in that part of the ground to be a usable option. I'm not going to crowd his space. And I think that's a terrific example of what he means to that team. They're much better with him in it, and it'll be really interesting to see how it does work, particularly in the early stages of the season while he's in recovery mode.
Yeah, the mix worries me a bit now with Marshall expected to miss such a significant period of time. Georgiadis is not a genuine big dog forward down there to, I guess, be the guy in that line. I would say he's a second or third complementary forward from a tall forward sense. You've got the young kid, Ollie Lord, who's shown a bit in his career, but he still hasn't got to that level yet. And Radigalea has played forward and back at stages over the last 12 months, but he's not exactly the most reliable, and he can be pretty wayward at times, especially with his finishing. So it's going to be interesting to see how that mix works down there at Port Adelaide early next season, Mick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll have to bite the bullet and say, well, we experimented with Radigalea behind the ball. We know he's had the ability to bust packs when he was at Geelong as a forward. And with the 23 games that he played last year, you'd think he probably is the logical candidate in this situation with the Marshall injury. He will have to go forward to be a bit of a tower to release some pressure to others in that area. And the other one for me is, does Jeremy Finlayson probably assume that role if it's not Radigalea, knowing full well that he could be the relief ruck from that part of the ground? You mentioned Ollie Lord, he only played 6 games last year. We know he's got some ability. He just needs game time, and I suppose I'll look at what is the best mix, knowing full well that there's others that can go through there. Burn Jones has pressure forward, but he's not at all. We know Connor Rosie can get spat out of the midfield if they think Wines, Butters and possibly Drew does a tagging role. alongside Horn Francis, who can play midfield forward. So they might still go with a 2 and 4 structure, 2 talls and 4 smalls or medium sizes. But very rarely you'll see Port Adelaide load up with 3 and 3, considering Dixon's retired, I would have thought, based on the Marshall injury now, because they just haven't got the stocks on their list to present that to the opposition they play against.
So will Powell Pepper be back for the start of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I reckon they'd be hoping that's the case, because what did he play? I think only 3 games last year, and I thought they missed his hardness at critical stages, because he provides a real contest and he's got a fierce appetite to win the ball back in that front half. And historically, Port Adelaide have been an exceptional front half team, and that's the reason why their turnover game is so high, and they're generally quite difficult to score against from the opposition's ball movement back to front, because they set up the ground so aggressively, they get high, and it's all built on covering exits, pressure at the source, and just trusting those blokes in the front of the ball. If they don't catch it, they immediately snap into defensive transition to ensure that the ball lives in their front half of the ground. And that's the reason why they've been successful without winning a premiership.
Mick, we know you're very well connected in with the Pies camp over there at Collingwood. Can you give us an update on Nick Dankz and this foot injury that is plaguing him at the moment and is going to see him spend a little bit of time off of the track?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Peter, in all honesty, but my son trained there before Christmas, and he said to me straight away when he got off the training track the first time, he said, "Dad, Nick Dankz is a freak." I said, "What makes him, in your language, a freak?" He said his work rate's just off the charts. And then I found out probably a week and a half ago that they were going to talk to him about lessening his loads, because I reckon there was a hint then on the back of me getting told that there was an issue with some sort of part of his body, whether it be hamstring, load, and now we know it's plantar fasciitis. So that's generally about a load injury. I remember Robert Harvey had that issue at the back end of his year. We know what a great runner and a great athlete Robert Harvey was. Won a Brownlow medal, of course, a couple of them, I think. And you see this in the modern-day player because their workloads are so great. They're on their feet quite often. And when you've got an appetite for hard work and you want to get the best out of yourself to be the best version of yourself, not only at Collingwood, but to be the best player in the competition, which is what drives Nick Dankz to be the person he is, you might have to get challenged physically. And in this case, Collingwood identified that he's their most important product, even though he's younger by a long way from Sidebottom and Pendlebury, who have been icons of that footy club. It's Nick who wants to take over the mantle to say, "Follow me." And he's probably trying to lead through example. He's trying to lead the right way, but it might come at a cost. So I think the sports science people at the Collingwood Footy Club will be sitting him down and saying, "Nick, we don't want to be a March champion. We want you to don't want you to be an April Fool. We need to get you through the season because you're so important to us." So I think they'll drop their loads. My young bloke's got to go there next Friday, so I can't wait to go and watch it and see what Nick's actually doing. Is he inside or outside? And then he's got another 3 days a week after. So I'll be watching closely at Collingwood and probably talking to the right people about what messaging I can put out there for the public consumption to give you guys a heads up, and those Collingwood lovers over in Western Australia, or football lovers that love watching Nick Dankz play, because I think he's got such clarity around being humble, but also being a driven competitor, and I think that's the reason why people gravitate to him.
Good to know that we may have the little exclusive there, Mark, for our listeners here on Straight Up. But they do have there's a lot of pressure on these sports scientists and the people that manage these loads of these players, superstar players like Nick, and because you can just tell he's a player that wants to get the most out of himself and smash himself on the track. But it's a fine line to be able to do that so consistently and then have to do it and front up week after week. When you do get into games, you do get into the season, you put yourself at risk if you do overtrain of breaking down when the team most needs you. And I guess that's the balancing act that they've got with Nick at the moment.
Before we leave you, Mick, on Collingwood, has Josh got a little pre-season injury as well?
I don't know. I haven't heard that. You might be hearing something that I'm not, but I know that he's been training sort of behind the ball as a maybe running back to complement maybe Dan Houston's inclusion. And I think Collingwood probably are looking at trying to use their better ball users behind the ball to get some bounce and energy off that area. We know how Houston uses the ball. He's aggressive. He has corridor thoughts. He wants to break the game open. Do you want to play safe coming out of D50 or do you want to take the game on? I think the way the game's trending, there'll be a lot of teams that'll try to back themselves in to get through the opposition zone defence and then over it. How do you do that? You have to go back through the corridor to open up your front half. So I think Collingwood like to play that way. They're a corridor 4 team. And Houston and Dankz, who've both got great vision, both got good ball use. Their depth perception's good when they kick the footy with some penetration, but also they can lower their eyes and create opportunities that others don't see. And I think they'll complement each other down back, considering that John Noble's no longer there.
Mick, it seems almost never-ending the amount of negative news stories coming out of the Melbourne Demons at the moment, and a couple more to add to that over the last couple of days. We'll start with Christian Petrarca and that cracked rib that he has sustained, and that is not what they wanted at the D's through pre-season training.
No, they turn left and they end up having a crash. They turn right, they have a car crash, and then they go straight ahead and they have a truck
train crash
and hit them head on. No matter where they're heading, there's always something in the news for not the wrong reasons. And let's face it, Christian, I think, has put himself up for a lot of discussion, whether it be someone's opinion to say that he's looking for it or other opinion whereby give the bloke a break. He's had a pretty serious injury. He's trying his best to get back to the full level of his performance through hard work and training with purpose. And then all of a sudden, after the injury sustained last year in footy season, in pre-season this year, he has a cracked rib before the season's about to embark on him. Let's hope he gets through. I haven't spoken to anyone at Melbourne about the concern of how long it may be. But with the preparation I told you about with him going into last week when we spoke, I knew, and people told me out of Melbourne, that he's ready to go up until this injury that he sustained. Fit, strong, powerful. Smiling from ear to ear about his preparation.
He looks it.
A lot of discussion. Oh, he does. He's ripped. He's done the work, mate. There's no question about that. And I think a lot of people put him under the microscope when he decided not to go to their best and fairest night, and he decided to go offshore or over to America to go to a camp. But when you see his body the way it is and the training standards that he set when he come back with strong messaging around, we've got to shift the culture. I want to lead that. I can easily abandon ship. I'm not. I'm staying here. Everyone must buy in with the same mentality because we want to win a premiership again. And he was adamant that he was going to be the one to shift that narrative. And unfortunately, he's injured at the moment, but he'll get back pretty quickly because he's done the work.
So how did Melbourne handle this news of Kasai Pickett wanting to come across to the Dockers at the end of this season?
Yeah, it's a good question, Marty. 30 years ago, it would be hard to comprehend.
Yep.
Even probably 15 years ago, it would have been hard to comprehend. But in today's age, I think there's probably a sense of the industry maturing with movement, even as much as 12 months out or 6 months out. We knew Gary Ablett was leaving Geelong, and everyone thought the doors were going to be shut and the curtains were going to be closed. But in saying that, they won a premiership the next year with their most revered player that they've seen for the last 20 years beside his dad in Gary, who we played against, and we know what he meant to the Geelong footy team, but he didn't win a premiership. So no one's indispensable in this game, but you've got to trust why he's going back. And let's face it, I think a lot of people in the outside world understand that the importance of family or connection through relatives might be a lure to get back home. And if that's the case, I think the industry's matured that much that they understand that Neil Bullen, for example, who's a pretty revered figure from a respect standpoint, he made a decision to go back to his grassroots in Adelaide with a family connection, and people sort of knew about it, spoke about it. It didn't affect the way he played. He was still picked in the team. And from that point, I think no different will happen with Kasai Pickett. Goodwin will understand. The players will understand. He'll honour his commitment to contract and get to work and do what he has to do to be the best version of himself for the team to prosper. But come 12 months' time, it sounds like he's out the door.
Certainly does, and very early stage for that revelation. To
got a bit of NRL about it, hasn't it?
Yeah, 12 months in advance. It's pretty deafening, the talks that have been going on between the associated parties up until this point, for it to now surface with Cozzy Pickett expected to be back here next year. And, geez, an incredible talent, isn't he? And he's only going to complement Fremantle in a big way with the X factor and what he's going to bring to that side, particularly now with the acquisition of Shai Bolton as well. And Mick, interesting to note as well, in their first official pre-season match simulation a bit earlier this week, Shai Bolton spent 100% of that match simulation as an inside 50 forward, not spending any time through the midfield.
Yeah, well, that's probably not unusual from where I sit, because I think their midfield group, as we discussed last week, with Young going through there, now extended his contract, Sarong a star, Brayshaw two-way transition runner, two fit ruckmen. Hopefully, I know Darcy's got a bit of an issue still, but fit. Luke Jackson should be right. He might be used as a sort of a secondary option as opposed to unsettling the mainstay three starting primary midfielders that they've got. And we know that he's got this electricity about him, which I think they've lacked in their forward line, considering Walters, who I love and love what he's done for Fremantle, is an ageing star. And Shai Bolton has got this capacity to turn a game on its head if he kicks accurately for goal. He can have shots at goal. I can't always trust his conversion. That's what he's got to really work on, whether it be a snap in space or a set shot at goal. He has to master those challenges, because one thing we know, when you kick goals that matter, it generates great enthusiasm. It takes away and saps energy from the opposition. But if you miss shots that you could get, considering the work done further up the field, it can sap energy and have a demoralising effect on your teammates. So he's got to take responsibility. He wants to put his hand out to come back home and put out his hand for big money. And let's face it, he's probably worth every cent when he's on top of his game. And as a forward, to kick goals, ultimately it'll help the scoring profile of Fremantle, because he's got the capabilities, guys, of kicking 40 to 50 goals an individual if he stayed in that front half and front half only. So I think that's the reason why the coaching staff, the forward line group, probably need him to complement the other tools in that area.
Mick, you're working for the Herald Sun over there, looking at the defenders, I believe, this week. What have you come up with?
Well, it's a very challenging, probably, discussion around which team or which club has the best defensive unit, but also to morph in who has the best defensive system, the way they play. And you sort of narrow it down to, obviously points against as a great understanding of the opposition can't score against you because you're generally so good at either restricting opposition ball movement, or when the ball gets in, can you take away an opportunity from the opposition to score? And you look at the categories in those areas, there's that much fluctuation about who's best and who's worst. For example, like last year, you say, off the top of your head, if I said to you boys now, points against, who do you reckon was the best defensive team in the competition?
And you'd probably say last year, Mart, best defensive team in the comp, Geelong?
No, Geelong were ranked 11th.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I was off the mark.
Actually, I do.
Who would you say, Marty?
St Kilda?
I was going to say St Kilda, but I know they weren't.
St Kilda were 5th.
Yep.
Fremantle were very good.
Yep.
In terms of scores against?
Yes.
They were 4th.
I'm just hustling back through my notes.
Yeah, you've
got
the old notepad out.
Yeah, and this is why it's a great discussion, because nothing comes to mind really quickly when you talk about the best defensive team. And it was the Western Bulldogs. And on the back of Rory Lobb going back, they become better when he went back, which, a lot of people would have said at the start of the conversation, that won't succeed. And I was, for one, questioning his competitiveness in that part of the ground. I got that wrong. And I'm happy to put my hand up to see Rory Lobb elevate his game to a standard to become such an important interceptor, to work in tandem with Liam Jones and also young Buku Karmas. They become very hard to score against. So that went under the radar, and the second best team in terms of scoring against was the Brisbane Lions, who won the premiership. And I've always been a believer, a part of a philosophy when you're coaching, defence over attack. If you're a good defensive team and you're hard to play against, on the back of winning the footy back, considering the turnover game that it is, that's where you can springboard and you become a very attacking team. So when you get the balance right of defending first, but then attacking the game through your ball movement and your ball use and where you go and what you do with it, you get that balance right, you become a premiership threat. And Brisbane Lions are ranked 2 points against with Harris Andrews. If I said to you how many contested marks did Harris Andrews take last year, what would you say?
Contested marks for the whole year?
Yep.
Or
where he would rank, you'd say he'd be in the top 5 in the top 5 in the competition for key defenders?
Mate, he took 51 contested marks. He's a player that wants to mark the footy. I love defenders who want to mark the footy. Now, you compare him to a Jacob Wiedering, who I think is such an important player to Carlton. He's their on-field general. You listen to him at training. His instructional skills are elite. He sets up the ground with purpose. He puts himself in an area of threat to influence the ball. But he had nearly half of contested marks from what Harris Andrews did.
Yep.
And that's the reason why they're hard to score against, because you've got players in that area that opposition need to bypass if they think they have to score. And when you get a high aggressive team who want to set the ground up, Harris Andrews becomes that goalkeeper. He's very hard to penetrate. Providing the pressure up the ground is where you have to be to make sure the opposition don't kick into an area where you can win the ball back and then kickstart your offence on generating that turnover. So when you look at that in its entirety, to answer your question about the best defensive team, I'm coming back to Hawthorn. I just thought their second half of the year, in terms of offence and defensive balance, they were very hard to penetrate. They've added Barras and Battle, who were two of the best intercept marks at their respective clubs last year when they played. They're going to complement Sicily. Hardwick can play there. Impey can play there. Young Scrimshaw's another elite intercept defender.
Weddle.
If they get the pressure up the ground, Weddle's a bouncing energizer bunny who wants to just penetrate the game in offence. I just think they're going to be ranked very highly in my eyes. I haven't signed off on 1, 2, 3, 4 yet. But, geez, my mind's thinking about Hawthorn with the success of the recruitment of two important players who were very, very influential at the West Coast Eagles in Tom Barrass's case, and also Josh Battle. When you talk St Kilda. I just think Hawthorn are going to be a team that's going to rapidly improve defensively. Barras took 3.6 intercept marks last year when he played more than Jerry McGovern, who played higher up the ground as a general rule of thumb. And Josh Battle took 2.6, more than Callum Wilkie. And everyone talks about Wilkie's influence at St Kilda. Josh Battle had 2.6 intercept marks per game and 6.8 intercept possessions. So those two boys are going to add the strength to the Hawthorn footy team in the area of the ground, which gives them great flexibility because they can push Hardwick forward and even Sicily forward, and they can become match winners at the other end of the ground on the back of bringing a strength to the team that they didn't have. Okay, Mick,
just one on those defence of teams. Very interesting year last year that there were 7 teams, right? 7 teams. As you said, the lowest was 1,736 Western Bulldogs. That was what they conceded for the year. But there were 7 teams from 1736 to 1752, so only 16 points difference between 7 teams in defence. That's very unusual because normally you get 1 or 2 that are clearly better than the others by sometimes 100 points, Mick, or 50 points.
Absolutely, Marty. You go down to 7, and 769 was the lowest out of those 17.
So why is that, Mick? Why do you reckon that happened?
It's a copycat industry.
Okay.
You just got to put the players in the right areas of the ground to understand defensive system. And Bulldogs were 1, Brisbane were 2, Port were 3, Fremantle were 4, St Kilda were 5, Hawthorn were 6, and Sydney were 7th on 1769. So we're talking 33 points, 5 goals over the course of a year between 7 teams defensively. And this is what you come back to. You say, well, out of that group, who played finals? You look at that and you say, gee, that's not a bad template to work from. The Bulldogs, Brisbane, Port, Fremantle can really challenge this year, I believe. St Kilda will march towards being a qualifier. Hawthorn got in on the back of a fantastic second half, and I think we all identified that Sydney were the team to beat until their horrid grand final day. So defence before attack, it wins premierships.
Beautifully done, Mick. Really looking forward to having a read of that article when it does eventually drop in the Herald Sun as well. Are we getting involved at all in the final 6 races on that Melton program this evening?
Is the Pope Catholic?
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear.
Riley. I thought we could back race 5, number 9, just a bit dusty. Close your eyes. It's a trot race. 17:20. Won't want to make a mistake. Now Kieran Manning's got it. It's had one start for the new stable and did things wrong. But as we know, you go back to the Great Night Pistol, the Manning camp certainly can turn a trotter around. This horse has got too much ability and class for the opposition. Providing it stays in its gate, it'll be winning. I think it'll be very hard to beat. In race 6 on the program, that's impossible. For those that want to have a quaddie, good luck. Maybe take the field. In the 7th race, I reckon there's a couple of little value plays there. 1 will be hard to beat. 4 goes in the quaddie. 8, we liked it last week and got hammered in front, sitting behind leader. Potentially it'll be very hard to beat at $7.50 on an each-way basis. And there's a horse in this race, number 11, that's $71. Ian McMahon to drive. We know how He was a part of a good horse, the old Flashing Red, years ago. It's $71 and $8. I've just had a small bet each way. I missed the $91, but I think it'll outrun its odds. Race 8 on the program, lastly, the quaddie. Good luck. I don't like anything in that race at all. And in race 9, I'm definitely backing number 8, Lou Bell. I think it's the best filly in the race, Christopher Shin. He tries hard, but he's not the greatest of steerers, but this filly's got natural ability. And I think she will be hard to beat in that race. Number 1's a big question mark for Herbison. It's been $5.50 into $3.50. And the value plays number 2, Platinum's Voyage, going better than its figure form of 7th and 8th. It's the last 2 and at $21. Make sure you have something on it each way. It'll outrun its odds. But it's a pretty ordinary program tonight. But I think race 5, it'll be winning number 7, just a bit dusty for Karen Manning.
With the Trotters, Mick, always good to talk to you for Dankz Furniture. We'll do it again next week.
Champion. See you, fellas.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes to catch up with James Oldring, who's the CEO of Perth Racing, because some big news dropped about Big John BOSH experience at Ascot on Mile Day. He joins us now. G'day, James.
Hey, Marty, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Riley's with me as well.
G'day, James.
Afternoon, Riley.
We've got him all lined up. Don't worry about that. He's a regular on this program. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Big John came to Ascot last year as part of the partnership we did with a group called Invade, who are sort of focused on getting younger generation out to the races. And anyone that was there on the day will have seen the impact he had. Hugely successful, brought nearly 1,000 sort of under 25 out to the racecourse. So he's heading back to Australia. He'll be at Ascot on the 1st of February. And I'm expecting we'll get plenty of interaction and plenty of people out to the races to see him again.
And there's a nice little VIP section available to mingle with him as well, isn't there, James? It's referred to on what I'm having a look at in front of me as the BOSH Landing.
That is right, the BOSH Landing. Anyone that's familiar with Ascot will recognise it more colloquially as the Sky Villa. But the top floor of our semi-permanent marquee will have, you've got the opportunity to have a day at the races with food, canapes, selected by Big John himself, so there's probably plenty of Chinese influence in there. And the man himself will be up and mingling in there for the afternoon, and then the opportunity to watch his DJ set in the afternoon from the balcony itself. Or indeed you can go down and be part of that DJ set, which is open to anyone. So you only need to buy a GA ticket to come and see Big John, which if you get on and do it now at the early bird prices is just your $12. So $12 to come and see Big John. It's
obviously a bit of a quieter period now, particularly on the Saturdays, James, following our Carnival and Perth Cup Day, but you'd think that this is really going to liven up the Ascot Racecourse on the 1st of Feb.
Yeah, exactly. It's an opportunity for us to do something a bit different, and there's still some very good racing. Don't get me wrong, but it's an opportunity to do things a bit differently and try new things. And although John's tried and tested in many ways, and he's travelling the world at the moment thanks to the exploits of his son, who you're probably aware is a pretty successful boxer.
Yes.
So retained his undefeated record in Qatar, was it? Or very recently on the undercard of the Fury fight. So he actually came himself last year, but he's not coming this year as far as I'm aware.
Gee, if we're getting him all the way out here again, Mart, to host the BOSH Landing out at Ascot, we have to try and pull a few strings to get him in the studio here, can't we?
I think so. We just get a truckload of Chinese in here. That'll just about get him in.
Bit of a Chinese review. James could pull a few strings for us, surely.
I think if you just lay a trail of crispy wontons, you'll probably be all right.
Oh, mate, that is fantastic. Well done to Perth. If he pulled 1,000 last year, I'd say it'd be close to... How many can the marquee hold?
All right, so there's limited tickets available for that. So you got about 150 of those on sale. We didn't want to oversell that. We wanted anyone that bought one of those tickets to actually have the opportunity to get their photo with Big John and get the autograph and have a genuinely VIP experience. But obviously, a GA ticket will get you right down to the front of the DJ set if you'd like it. So we'd be hopeful that we get a decent crowd down there and a really good atmosphere on what would otherwise be a slightly quieter day.
Well, I think it's party time for you in Perth Racing at the moment, so we'll let you get back to that party. Thanks for coming on board. All the best with that, James.
You've done me a huge favour, to be honest, because they were just calling the exec to the dance floor, so you've absolutely nailed your timing there, Mark.
Old Twinkle Toes Oldring, he's off the dance floor. Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
Thank you very much, gents. Cheers.
There he goes.
The Perth Racing Preview is where the Straight Up team finds you the winners, and here's the Straight Up team with their preview of Saturday racing from Ascot.
Yes, McGinnity, a very good afternoon.
Hi, Mart.
Braddles, how are we?
Hello, Roz. Wonderful.
Legion of fans queuing up. They want to get involved with Retrovision. 0427 789 571.
Gee, it'd be some pairing if you were to head up there onto the BOSH landing, Mart.
Oh,
you and Big
BOSH,
John.
the big boy.
We gotta make something happen, don't we?
I think so. Hang on, 2695, maybe lad Keshu Duran, 52.50 10. She's perfection, $1.50.
You want to have it again?
Gold ruby, $1.30. No, that'll do. 146.10 the Quinella Exacta, 314.70 the trifecta, 706 even, and the first four 2695, 2,267.48 and 2 the double 203.20, and the quaddie 2582 1,332.80. Number 4 was out. So there we are. That's out of the way. Got a text there. We a bit slow getting the divs out last race. Bunbury race 5 is the Nixon Electrical. Handicap over the 1690. Your president's not a crook. Full of Merit, 480. 2 Manzor Magic, 250. 3 Striking Fella, $3. 4 Jiddo, 21. 5 Delta Ran, 750. 6 Fries with that is 34. 7 Man from Memphis is 81. And 8 Run for Rob at $8.
Bradley, celebration of Life Day out there at Ascot on the weekend. What are we expecting from a weather track rail?
Oh, 3 metre rail, Roz. Medium south to south westerlies, just humming along during the day, maybe getting a touch stronger in the arvo, so looks reasonably fairish to me, but there's that possibility if they do heat up a bit, might be preferring cover, but it seems pretty fair track at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, from all reports, expecting a bit of a southwesterly on the weekend just gone, and apparently not much of a breeze really set in late in the afternoon.
Flags were flaccid, Mart.
Well, it was blowing at my place. Obviously didn't make it down the road to Ascot.
You're just, what?
Location.
Mate. Oh, wow.
You know why. You know why.
You get a bit more breeze when you're higher up.
Yeah, that's what somebody said on the radio the other day. Let's get into it because we've been a bit late getting going here. But race number 1, and it is the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. It's over the 1,000 metres out there at Ascot on Saturday. Jesus, it's thrown me this news. Ascot, February 1, Big Bosh.
Rattled.
Excitement.
I can't understand why we can't get him in. Would he be in Perth by Thursday? He's got to start eating sooner or later.
He might be doing some other... I know he's
commitments.
got a couple of other gigs elsewhere in Oz prior to touching down here in Perth, so...
What about a Saturday morning dim sum breakfast somewhere?
Just down on Rowe Street.
A couple of eye-openers as well, maybe.
Here we go. One Another Strike is into $3. Capricorn Man, $6.50. Rocket Juice, $3.90. Salt Lake Shakers, $4. See You at the Session is $9.50, $8.50. Star Power into 11, from 10 out to 11, I should say. And Talking Gibberish be the omen tip for me, 21 into 17.
See You at the Session might be another one, Mark. 1,300 at the 9.50. See You at the Session into 8.50. Well played. Another Strike. 500 at the $3, which you are well entitled to line up for again, and not much else to report, Rolls.
Couple of things to report off this Retrovision text line. 0427 789 571. Petter from Morley weighing in once again, who is fast rivaling Mart as one of the greatest post-race trumpeters of all time. He's gone.
Oh, come on.
He's gone with anybody else find my B lad or just myself. So well done to Peter from Morley. He's given himself the little finding a $52 winner, and he texted in once again after Count the Lot last Sunday, Pinjarra, which won at $82 odds, and said he backed that too. So
wow.
I'd be hanging out with Peter from Morley. Not that would be overly high on the priority list.
Boys are texting. They're on for a frothy at the Civic right now if you're available. Ooh, tempting.
The Civic, not a place I frequent too often.
No, but it's the $8 Swan Drafty pints.
Wasn't that famous for the old
bands?
Grab a Granny Night or something?
Oh, I don't know about. Is it? Was it? It used to have a lot of good live music there in its day.
Right.
Still built that way by the look of it.
You just went there for the music.
Hasn't moved
that
on.
old line, Martin.
Dutchie's weighed in as well, a good friend. He says there's a few things going on that have got his Tanasi Kokonakis absolutely Dwayne Johnson at the moment. The Oz Open's firing.
Yes.
Bunga Hearn's firing. And a certain photo of a singleted Bradley McManus I come across each day in my camera roll. When I'm feeling down, I look at that photo and I imagine him telling me I can have it again, champion. And then and then him saying I took the unders as well. That's great gear. And a couple of Dutchie's best bets for the weekend. Race 3, Medusa, and race 5, Flower in the Wind.
In agreement with one of those.
Okay, now this first race looks like there's for a little small sneaky field over 1,000 metres. Is there a bit of pressure here?
Intriguing affair, isn't it, Rolls? I'm not even sure who's going to lead out of Salt Lake Shape, Capricorn Man talking gibberish, and maybe even Star Power.
Yeah, there's some speedy, that's for sure and certain. I don't like it, but I'm going to give another strike. One more. The headgear goes on, Mart. The blinkers are on for the first time. And I just think, if not Saturday, then never.
Yep.
Life. Done.
The non-noir tattoo is in texture on the arm, but it's about to get a permanent tattoo if...
Yes. It is. 100% it is. I just think this is the perfect setup for another strike with the speed engaged, back to the 1,000 metres, blinkers on, looked home and hose at the 200 last start before the sniper came out, and Rocket Juice shot up the rail and grabbed him late in the piece. Ran super over the 1,000 fresh this campaign behind Divine Belief, and you can make a case from that run. He's in the finish with better luck, and you just think this is his race, and it's in the non-wire file for me, Bradley, if the weekend's not the day, and on a program where bets for me are very, very few and far between. Another strike is one that I'm happy to bet into at the $3.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'd need obviously a bigger price than $3, but it's not just about how suitable it looks for another strike. It's about how unsuitable it could possibly be for almost every other horse in the race. Like Rocket Juice back to 1,000 metres, that has to be a bit of a query. You've got these, 3 or 4 horses that would probably prefer to lead to be able to see their best, and only one of them is obviously going to be able to do that as well. So it does certainly look the obvious, Smart.
Yeah, it does. I'm tempted. To stay with Rocket Juice. I was pretty happy with that win the other day.
Nice win.
The way it burst clear when it got its chance.
Yep. Race number 2.
Okay, new producer's doing well too. What's her name? Renee. Race number 2, the Liberties Insurance Plate. It's over the 1,200 metres. And 1 Brazen Bid, 11. 2 London's Image, 440. 3 Maddie Girls, 6 into 550. 4 Golden Vale, 550 into 390. Clean 'em Up is $8. Desert Whispers, 420. Ragnar Rocket at 41. And Star Supreme, 11 to 950. But the first of the day goes to Golden Vale.
Star Supreme, nice little early 200 there at the $11. Nice shopping early. Desert Whisper, there's a couple of $400 bets at the $4.20 and the $4. Your Golden Vale, they got stuck in early. There's someone stepped into retail and
went bang.
Whether Mr. Miller maybe gave a little sports update on a Thursday morning or not, who knows? But yeah, we've had bets of 500 at the 550, another 500 at the 550, 600 at the $5, 700 at the 440. So that's a good early setup there. Golden Vale punters keen rolls.
Yeah, tricky race, not one of mine. There's a few angles you could take here. I thought Bradley. London's Image is a really intriguing runner, and I found such a difficult horse to line up. She's been fresh in 7 weeks since we last saw her, running second behind Cashel Palace in a Listeer at 1,400 metres. Put together a remarkable campaign when last in work, and should have the speed, I think, with that freshness in the legs to kick through and either lead or box seat from barrier 1. She's comfortably the best in under the conditions of the race from a ratings perspective, set weights and penalties. But off the campaign that she's had, it wouldn't surprise if she came out and won this race. But there's a bit of depth here around her. Golden Vale ran super in the Placid Arc, and Lucy Fury's got plenty of options from that barrier. Looks to be a bit of speed in this race, which would suit a horse like Maddie Girl, who was luckless off a freshen in the Max Simmons over the 1,000 metres and would have beaten home, I thought, the stablemate with any luck on that certain occasion. I could make a case that the price differential between that pair is probably a bit large for mine. I thought Maddie Girl would have ran straight past Golden Vale in that 3-year-old classic had she got clear galloping room when she needed to. And even a horse like Clean 'Em Up, who's been spat out a bit by the market, gets 1.5 kilos on Maddie Girl from their last meeting when beaten under 0.1 of a length on that occasion. And Golden Vale under the same weight conditions when beating her home, and Desert Whisper in a similar vein as well. So she gets this race to filly really well from a weights perspective. Race first up on Cup Day behind Schmoove Mover and Supernatural, and without a trial on that occasion, did a lot of the bullocking work and only peaked late in the race. I'm interested to see where she gets to in the run here with the speed drawn both underneath her and outside of her. But if she's improved off that first up run off a break, Brad, you could certainly make an each-way case for Clean 'Em Up as well at the $8.
Yeah, leave me out of this, Ross. The last time I was just confused was when I walked into Marty's bathroom. So we're better off just moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, don't overthink it. It is what it is. Hey, text here, Retrovision. They're coming for the Mauler a bit after last week. He went 0 from 9.
Hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is, unless you're in Hong Kong.
Oh,
but it wasn't Hong Kong. It was Ascot.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No wonder he's drinking the $8 specials at the Civic.
But he has sent them in, and he has asked if I'm reading them out. You've got one more chance there, champ.
We did have a text last week. It's 2025 and the Mauler still has a segment.
Well, this is about it. This is the decider. He's with Rocket Juice in the first and Desert Whisper.
So we've got the Mauler.
In the second.
We've got the Mauler in the same basket as another strike. Last chance saloon.
Careful with that. Louis will be listening. He'll come for you. Race number 3, the Magic Millions Plate, 1,200 metres. Today's show brought us by Magic Millions too, so that catalogue is online for the big sale here, which will get underway 2021, I think it is, isn't it? Feb 2021 from memory.
Yeah, cash for comments.
Are you working?
No, I'm not. I won't be.
That's why you're dirty on them.
Okay. What's this one on the books, Mart? Or?
Yeah, it's on the books, yeah. West is Best at the 2025 Perth Yearling Sale. So hop online now, magicmillions.com.au. David Howson, he'd just about be back from the Gold Coast. Or will he stay over for that race meeting tomorrow night? Probably. The great man. He'll be listening.
The great man with the colourful pants.
Oh, yes.
Have already given that catalogue a solid fingering, Martin. There's plenty to go on with.
Is there?
The Magic Millions catalogue, yeah. I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm up to about lot 22. Been a bit going on, but we're doing our best. The Magic Millions Plate, back to that, 1,200 metres. One True Fiction is 51. 2 Aberdeen Flyer 950. 3 Boza Lad 23. 4 Medusa 750 to 6. Yes Buster Spect. Geez, Harrow's burst back into a bit of form, hasn't he? 31 into 26. 6 is Golden Opera. Second of the day, 330 to 260. Our Naughty Secret for Wolfie's 21. Perfectly Proper, $4. Invincible Sin is 23 from 31. Number 10, Messina, 12 into 750. And 11, Queen Celsi is 20. Solis, is it? So they like a few here.
Indeed, Mart.
Well, you'd hope so with the 2-year-olds,
It's a lovely, intriguing affair to decipher this one. Eastern States Pro Money, 2,000 by 2,000, Golden Opera. Also another 600 there, Golden Opera at the 310. Messina, 500 places at the 290. Medusa, 400 at the 650. More Golden Opera money there, another few $300 bets. A bit of Queen Celeste snipping there down the bottom too. This is a great little betting race.
Yeah, tricky race, tricky 2-year-old race, but yeah, looks a nice race to see where a few of these are at. Bradley, nothing of the debutante brigade has really overly jumped out at me for this. To be honest, I thought the trial of Medusa was good. He was getting home really nicely late in the piece after getting a long way off them. Aberdeen Flyer took out that trial, but it was only a really slowly run trial over the 1,000 metres and just looked a type, Aberdeen Flyer, who might appreciate getting out over a little bit further in time. Looks quite a bigger Scopia type. It has drawn barrier 1, which is always a plus on debut. I love the debut effort of Perfectly Proper, Brad, who had a checkered passage in the straight. She just travelled into the corner really well and looked to only be really winding up late between horses when she did finally get clear galloping room. Tash Faithful copped a little suspension for the ride on that occasion when trying to get this horse into the clear. Chris Parnham jumps on, drawn another really good gate and should improve with that race day experience up to the 1,200 metres, which I think suits her better as well. From a price point, Mart, I would suggest that she's the bet at the price over Golden Opera, who I am very much respecting of with the start that she's made to her career. She's chased home hard in both efforts to date, gets another really good chance to break through. Thought maybe she was perhaps just peaking a little very late last start over the 1,100 metres, so that was just maybe my slight knock on watching that reviewing that race. She was in last start behind Do I Feel Lucky, who won very impressively. And just one other I wanted to make note of as well, down the page, 20 to 1 at the moment. Queen Celeste, I thought, arguably went better in her most recent trial behind stablemate Bannard and Girls on Fire, who are horses that many made horses to follow after their debut runs last Saturday. Brad, I thought this filly was just as good, if not better, as that pair in that trial. But I think it would be some time since Jess Vallis last rode a Saturday winner. No disrespect to Jess, but
she hasn't been riding.
She hasn't been riding for quite some time either. So
what better way to put one on the board than on Saturday? And I agree, that 20 to 1 is a getting towards an attractive each way commodity. I also want to back Perfectly Proper, Rolf. I'd like to see $5. I'm just not sure if it'll get there, but it is heading the right way. Plenty of respect for Golden Opera. One at the moment that's getting me Aberdeen Fly is $14 around the traps. I think it just hit the front in the trial and just decided to have a good old look around. I think there's plenty under the tank there and sets up nicely for this debutante. So that's one I'll be looking at as well.
Any thoughts on how Simon Miller's going? He's stable at the moment. I counted yesterday 10 winners in about 28 days.
Yeah, I think he's going at 150%.
So he's got 2 in this. Messina.
They'll probably both win.
Yep. I'll dead hate for,
Blinker's first time with the Tissot filly for My Racehorse. The microshares.
Your specialty.
Don't look me straight in the eye when you say that.
Oh, careful.
What's our man doing? What's he up to?
I swear it's not mine, baby.
Our man Duppy has texted in. He's in McGinnity's famous way of saying, Riley and Mart, you can both have it again with your best defensive team guesses. Yeah. That's good gear.
I don't know why I just didn't get the AFL ladder up.
Yeah, he says, how could you not have the Dogs with the Lobster holding it down? He said Duppy's been well below his tipping best and thought I'd reward myself by looking through all of Wesley John's tweets at work, but it was a real shame HR had to walk in unannounced.
No, you won't get him. He's just playing out a little suspension at the moment. He got 14 days off Mr. Musk last week, but he'll be back. It's only 14 days.
Oh, that's good. One and done for the Duff. And he says Memory Parade will not be losing. Oh, that's good stuff. 14 days suspension.
And they barrack for the same team.
We're not going further with that.
All right. We're on to race number 4, the Peters Investments Handicap over the 1,200 metres. Start time here at 3 o'clock. And here's another stable just hitting a bit of form. Arthur Daly Maley. Big day on it. 51 into 31. Rogues Pointers 19 from 23. Avoidance 16 into 8. Scratchings here? No. Lons Deletes 12 into 10. Boab Boy 12 to 10. Cruise to Victory 850. Kraken Time, Half Brother 2. 38 into 350. Ain't so bad as 9 to 550. There's one for you, champ. Cavallo Red 31. Memory Parade $4.20. Split Jatay 71 and Trespassing is 81. There's been a bit of money flying around here, hasn't there?
Yeah, good old-fashioned differences of opinion affair, this one, Mart.
DOPs.
Memory Parade, 600 at the 440. Ain't so bad. Well, there's 600 places there at the 245, but there's also BOSH 200 wins, 300 wins, another 200 wins there. Ain't so bad. So maybe a bit more market merging, that one, but still there. Avoidance, fair dinkum. They wanted to be on this. 200 at the 16, 200 at the 16, 200 at the 13, another 200 at the 13, 300 at the 10, 200 at the 10. Yeah. Yeah. And plenty of just this little localised snipping for horses like Boy Boy. There's 7 or 8 decent 200 bets there. Oh, yeah. And another one there, Kraken Time, which had to get supported at some stage, and there's certainly some money there too, including 200 at $3.30. So you can GST your bet, pal.
Oh, get back in line and go again. Bit of speed here, Brad.
Looks a nice, even setup, doesn't it, in regards to every horse getting their chance?
Yeah, it certainly does. I was pretty keen to get involved here. Mart, happy to have a little back save here with two horses I had at the top of the market in Memory Parade and Kraken Time, just from a reliability aspect and having a bit more faith in her. I'm leaning towards Memory Parade as the result, particularly at the price as well. I thought she was a big follow off her trial, and then her first up run over the unsuitable 1,000 behind Valsacina when closing off in some of the best late splits of the meeting, and essentially identical late splits to the winner on that occasion as well. Run under the belt up to 1,200. Not the fastest of horses early, Memory Parade, and could end up in a sticky little spot, but drawn an alley in a race where the speed looks to be genuine enough. I just thought she looked a really nice play, second up at 1,200 metres, but don't want to be losing on Kraken Time, who was a good thing beaten after bombing the start on Cup Day and somehow almost still got the job done. It does look a good race for him with the tempo profile, but he just has to begin with them on this occasion, Brad, fair to say, and that is still a bit of an unknown as he's not the most reliable of horses, is he, at this stage of his career?
You wouldn't be aware of this. I run a little monthly subscription page of ways to get beaten, and Kraken Time has been subscribing for 20 straight months. And it'll find a new one. Like, it's a bit of a concern. This horse is untapped. It's got that much potential, but it's got to be... It'll get to the stage where it hits the front, turned around and waves at you and gets beaten. It's time to put it on the board, I think. So, and this is the day it looks like happening. The way I'm looking at the race a little bit differently, as you alluded to, there seems enough pace. These good quality midfield types like your Kraken Times and your Memory Parades, etc., should travel nicely into the race around the corner, etc. And I'm looking at a horse like Lons Delete at the double figure price to get on the back of those two, get around there and have a really good dip at them late, you can already make a few form lines through Lons Delete and what's the Miller horse, Shooting Spirit, and Cracking Time, I think, if my memory doesn't fail me there. You can make some really strong forgiveness excuses for Lons Delete last start, put an absolute pen through it. So I'm pretty happy to get involved each way at double figures, Mark.
So you're on Lons Delete, and Riles, you're going a back and slap.
Back and slap with Memory Parade, Cracking Time. I've got plenty of respect for Ain't So Bad, who certainly deserves her chance in Saturday company now. Has charged through the grades, very attractive racing pattern, not a lot of weight on her back. I just think this is certainly a lot harder than the races she has been recently going around in, and she is now back in distance from 14 to 12, fourth run of the prep. So,
all right, we'll take a break.
And they could never tear us apart.
Ah, yes, we're up to race number 5 for Drummond Golf out there at Ascot on Saturday of the 2100 metres. Start time is 3:35. And let's have a look at the betting here for Tab Touch. One Flower in the Wind is 7 to 6.50. Rockin' Society 3.10 into $2. Wow, they're on again. Noteworthy 7. Flash Paddy 20. Stormageddon 7 to 6. Crazy's 41. For Your Eyes is 16 from 20. God's Garden is 31. High Boy 151. Mystical Man 16. Rock Legacy's 31. Tiff's Lad 51.
Never seen that one before, Ross.
What's that?
The old understated hidden meerkat. Still crouched meerkat, that one.
Hidden meerkat.
3.10 into 2.
That's more like it,
Yeah.
Mark. That's more like it. Thank you, Chief.
Well, I was sort of siding with you a little bit there because they just back this horse every start, don't they?
It's getting a bit like that. 1,000 at the 3.10 early, then another 1,200 at the 2.70.
You hit the wrong button.
1,600 at the 2.35. 500 at the 2.50. That's pretty much it in regards to wagering for the race. Has been the each way bet Mystical Man there, 250 each way, and another 250 each way Stormageddon.
Yeah, you have to respect what he's doing. The top, well, not the top weight, but Rocking Society. See no reason why he can't outstay them again. Weight does stop trains, but I thought he was super tough, seeing off Alaskan in a 2-horse war last start with the 59. As we know, carries a 60 here, and this field is no deeper. Gets another very favourable map from that draw. Just no fun at the $2 odds for me. Bradley, going to make a case for one down the page, and from a market sense, Flash Paddy down on the 54.5 kilos can really run a race here. I thought he was the run of the meeting on review last start at Pinjarra behind Ocean Zara over the mile. He drops 3 kilos off his back here, gets out to what I think is a more suitable trip, and he's clearly humming off that last start performance. I might be going a run early with him, but with a 5.5 kilo pull on Rocking Society, I'll be watching for Flash Paddy making a real race of this late in the piece. Noteworthy brings intrigue through a very slowly run Latrice. Has never been tried at this stage of her career up over the staying journey. Not entirely convinced that she is a genuine stayer, but this is a big drop in class, and there doesn't look to be a great deal of speed in the race, Brad. High Boy looks the only real genuine speed horse. A few of these have got tactical speed, but aren't horses that generally park up there in front or right over the speed in any case. And Flower in the Wind, another horse that has to be respected. Did get a race run to suit from where she got to in the run in that Perth Cup last start, but was unlucky not to be in the finish in this company 3 starts ago behind Kisses from Kelly. So there's respect there for her as well, but she's not one of mine, Flower in the Wind.
I'm interested in Flower in the Wind. I'm just thinking Rocking Society's at the stage now where it's just as short as it should be, considering the it's been obviously copping its penalties for every run. It's been doing it really well, but has to come a time where you
just got to keep laying it as a bookie boy, don't you? You'll get it beat sooner or later.
Flower in the Wind's there's I think a run 3 starts ago where it definitely should have taken care well and truly of Kisses from Kelly. has the ability to carry weight, and this is a nice setup where they should at least stack to the point where there can be a few moves at the right time, so hopefully can get cover and go around, and we see what we've got there with Flair in the Wind. Happy to find out at that price. Can make a case for a few that you've also mentioned, Rolls, in Noteworthy and...
Flash Paddy's a big price.
Flash Paddy, yeah.
Big price.
Yeah, went up.
You'll run a race.
Yeah, went up went a fair bit short of Flash Paddy, so it's drifting out to a nice price now.
Yeah,
Mart, interesting with Noteworthy, Mart. The Dam Neverland. You'd know a bit about.
He's been there.
Not sure he left. Was a staying mare, wasn't she?
I think she was.
Went all right from all reports.
One of Bob's staying mares.
Loving this new producer.
Mick's trotter got away here as well. That was the main thing. It jumped.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're on.
Duppy's on.
Dup's on the trotter. Race 5, number 9, just a bit dusty. Perfect for you, Dubster. And also to Wayne out there, Drummond Golf. How's your golf going? If you're in trouble, get out and see Wayne. Drummond Golf, Aussie Park. He'll straighten you up. Get on the simulator.
Should get out to see Wayne then, in that case, Braddles.
Not a big goal for you?
Try to be.
All right.
He can get onto one.
Just lacking in talent and hand-eye coordination.
He can get onto one.
General athletic ability.
You used to play a bit of golf, didn't you, Mart? Back in your days on the goldfields?
Oh, not on the goldfields. They didn't have the good golf course up there. Then we're on the dirt. Oh, no, we've played a bit around the place, but not anymore. The Studco handicap, it's over the 1,100 metres. I think we're in trouble here. Unless that 5 looks like a 9. It's not a 9, is it?
No, it's a 5.
Yeah. Keep reading, 20. Ice Picnic, 950. 3 Bay Z, 14. Street Parade, 34. Lexington City, 650 into 5. 6 Snow Prince, 13 into 10. 7 All Plays, 320 to 265. 8 Son of the Boss is $16. Under Influence is 20. Celestial Storm is 5 to 440. Oh, so yeah, it's a bit. Come on. Come on, Renee. Sharpen up a bit.
Just went to make a coffee.
Was she?
Oh, the Lexington Smart.
Yeah, you got to get them out.
1,700 places at the 225. All play. Quinella. 1,000 at the 320 and another 1,000 at the 320. Celestial Storm, 500 each way at the 480. Son of the BOSH, 300 each way there at the bigger price. Snow Prince, 200 at the $13. Good little betting affair, Ross.
Yeah. Where did you have All Play landing in the run here, Bradley?
Oh, just somewhere sort of on pace, just off them.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that's a bit of a...
It's tricky. It's a bit tricky. It could be potentially troublesome for All Play because Snow Prince isn't exactly slow out of the barriers, drawn 1. You've got Celestial Storm, who has really good early speed from 3. Lexington City will try and lead, drawn in 4. Could see a scenario where All Play could get shuffled back on the fence, even 3 the fence, which would be a concern for the pretty headstrong horse that he is in terms of how he goes about his business.
At least to its advantage, it's got that turn of foot to get itself out of trouble. But with Basey and Dice Picnic out wide and Son of the Boss, Street Parade all on their day, known to sort of go forward as well. So it could be, spat right out the back if things do go that way.
Yeah, Lexington City, Celestial Storm, All Play all hit the line in unison essentially. Last start with All Play getting the upper hand late. Lexington City had to do a fair bit of work to get across them last start. Should get to the front a bit easier here. Celestial Storm either breezes or lands 1 out, 1 back, going well enough to win, I think. And All Play just has that X factor where that untapped ability where we still don't know where his ceiling is. I still think the faster they go, the better that he'll go. But he could end up in a tricky little spot in running here for mine. Horse that I have huge respect for, I just can't map him, is Ice Picnic. He is a ripper when he's fresh. You look at his last 3 fresh runs on WA debut. He won in 72 plus company, led throughout. Freshened up 5 weeks in June, ran second behind Rope Them In, beating home Triple J, Rock and Rupert. Freshened again from that run 6 weeks, ran second in 72-plus company behind Storm Chaser, who was flying at the time. So he's a very good, very reliable commodity when he's fresh. Ice Pick Nick, I just can't map him for the life of me, Brad. It's the issue.
Similar vein with a horse like Bayzid, who's genuinely going super. Won nicely at Geraldton, did a bit of work, did the job well, then went to Albany and was a replay watchers would have noted that Bayzid was quite stiff. So that same thing there. I can't really map it. So do you work to the breeze or
you try to?
Who knows? Yeah. So it's one of those races for mine, Mart. Robbie sort of just staying out or having a small wager.
So race 7, the Key Clean Handicap, second leg of the major quad, 4:35 start time. This is over the 1,400 metres. Let's play it for old time's sake. 1 Heskett, 13. 2 Above the Peg is 21. Defending, 13. And Fluoro Neuro, 17. Not Secret, 16. Rissoles, not a lot of luck last start, 484.40. Soldanellas, 14 to 12. Bit of specking Starring Night, 16 into 12. And our girl, Blue Lagoon, 21 into 15. How's she been going? All right. Yeah, okay. And then Hostile Talk, Friday to 460.
Rookie.
Kalima's $5 and On Patrol. Well, they've come again, 26 into 19. It'll get there one day.
Oh, that'll be markets merging.
Yeah, okay. DOPs.
Yeah.
MMs.
Get back in your box, mate, over there.
MMs. DOPs. What else we got?
We got a large
Eastern States Pros.
Oh, yeah.
win by place.
ESPs. And what about the SMs?
ESPs.
The sharp monies.
Smart money.
You haven't heard this many initials since you've been at the health clinic, Martin. No. Sold an L. A nice win and place bet there of the $14 to win 10 grand. Rissoles, 500 at the 480. Sold an L, another 300 at the 14. Yeah, Brookie money, a couple of hundred each way at the $15. Heskett, a couple of hundred at the $15. Starring Night, local pro money, Mart. Did we cover that? Local pro?
LPM. Yep.
Pretty much it.
Well, what would be a fun assignment for you, Brad, is framing a market on who leads this race.
I'd have one even money, I think.
Would you?
Yeah.
Which horse?
It's got a jump at defending.
Yeah, okay. That's...
But gee, it can...
Would be favourite in my market.
Can miss, can't it? So.
Would certainly hold favouritism, but don't know if defending wants to lead, but I think this is a race to do it. He was going super before a luckless run. Fitzpatrick last start. I think you can be forgiving of that. And if Holly is able to lead and dictate here on this horse, I think she'll give them absolutely something to run down. Her 2 runs prior 100%. Behind Miss Sky High and Investment Strategy would hold her in very good stead in this field, or him in very good stead in this field, I think.
I concur. Do you concur, Mark?
Yeah, go on.
You could talk about just about every runner in this field, and we're going to miss a few that are winning chances probably. Heskett's in career best form. Will want to land leaders back. I don't think they'll want to lead on this horse. Only beaten a couple of lengths by Fast Flicker last start. I think they've worked this horse out. I thought he was a more on-speed, grindier, cruising speed type, but the way he let rip last start was not something I've seen since he's been here in WA. So I think it's good use of the claim because they had to. I doubt he would have been able to win this race with the 60 in a field of this depth. So don't mind that at all, and think he's a genuine winning chance as well if he can follow defending, if defending does lead in the run, or whoever does lead in the run into the straight. Rissoles is a horse, Marty, I know you're a big fan of, and as am I. On the back up, stepping up to 14. Just got a mile back last weekend from that wide draw. The winner, Angel Undercover, got that flowing run into the race. Chris had to check off multiple sets of heels to get clear with her. I think if you swap the runs, you swap the results there last weekend. tactics are going to be interesting. I suspect they're likely to go back again in a race that looks to have no tempo. So that's the risk you do run. Backing a horse like Rissol's in this field, you'd probably want a price, and you're getting a half-decent price. All honesty, I think, to be finding out. Kalima will pinch one now that I've hopped off. Fresh is best for her, and she's been freshened up a month between runs here. What did you make of the first up run of Fluoro Neuro, Brad?
I thought it was very forgivable versus a sort of apparent flow and bias of the race.
Flow.
Floor.
Okay. How about the Shooting the Wind gelding, Starring Night?
Flying in Geraldton and has been belting them as well.
It has been copping some money too.
Clearly a happy horse, but this is a lot harder.
Mart Heskett's breeding Fastnet Rock out of Hard Rider.
I see that.
What would you have named it?
Probably wouldn't have named it Heskett.
Just
But you probably also would have had your first 25 applications rejected, Mart. Racing Australia would have get no more from you, champion.
Blocked his
That's
email.
about enough.
Blocked his number and his email.
Refer to WC. Cameron.
So for me, I like one here, Hostile Talk.
Wow.
Yeah. $5 round the traps each way.
Why not?
1,400 is bit of an unknown, a slight concern. Whilst it doesn't have a heap of gate speed or doesn't seem to, I still think just by design it probably one of the ones with the best turn of foot that lands close enough.
Yeah.
Right man on board, horse in undeniable form. It's come back. I think it's come back a better horse this prep.
Yeah. Wouldn't have picked you to pull out Hostile Talk in a race of this nature. But yeah, I can see it.
Out of the good mare Lip Service as well.
And I think
she went around all right.
I think from that
enough from you, Mart.
I think from that last start win, Kraken Times run gained most of the attention because he bombed the start and he had to make that big sweeping run around them and has gone down in the bowl. But Hostile Talk was under the double wraps, absolutely bolting, looking for a run until about 150 metres to go before he got out and was able to blouse them. So I thought it was a terrific win, but this is certainly a little bit harder, I think, than that race last start.
Horses coming into the yard for this next event at Bunbury. We are on to race number 8 now, third leg of the Quaddie. Celebration of Life Day Trophies, a ripper over the 1,500. Really good field, this. Spent, I reckon, an hour on it last night and got confused. One fast flicker is 550 into 4, always back, aren't they? They're always back. Fear the Wind is 34. Les has got plenty.
That was a retracted meerkat. He half turned his head and then...
Rushing to the bar, you heard Scotty mentioning it, $9. Bon Joy, 420 into 330. They want to be on it again. Bruce. 18 into 15. Good on you, Demarge. Own the Queen, 460, 420. Weapon Sun, 61. Grant Lilyman out there at Morley Mitsubishi. Antique Miss, $11. Then we go to number 9, Rusty Dreams is 15. Atlantis Beach is 81. Benji's 151. And Cool Memory, 18 into 13.
Yeah, Mart. Been some money flowing, goes without saying. Bonjoy, Eastern States Pro, 700 at the 420. Local Sharpie, 700 at the 340. Own the Queen, 600 at the 420. Fear the Wind. Been some huge each way early money there at the bigger price.
Run a race fresh.
250 each way. 200 wins, 500 places. Another 250 each way. Fast Flicker, a couple of Eastern States Pros. Happy to be involved at the 550 there. A couple of $500 bets. Even Cool Memory garnering a little bit of attention down the bottom there, rolls each way.
Yeah, you can see that.
Cracking race and a great betting race, which is what it deserves.
I think this race came up a little bit stronger than many of us might have expected. You go back and look at a couple of previous fields of the Celebration of Life Day Trophy. No disrespect to it, but not exactly as strong as this field that we get on
Saturday. Imagine if you had connections and you go, you had it circled in the calendar going, we'll dodge the carnival, but we might pick off this 78 plus, and you,
hang on a minute. Yes, very strong, very strong. But a race that I I was scratching my head a bit, Brad, I'll be honest. Trying to separate a few of these on paper and just weights and measures. It looks a really good race for Own the Queen. Fast Flicker was able to just hold her off first up this campaign when she was absolutely charging home at a rate of knots late in the piece. She gets 3 kilos on Fast Flicker here. She gets 4 kilos on Bonjoy for a 0.04 length defeat in the Starstruck the last time they met. She just gets to this race incredibly well from that sense. Drawn a nice barrier to hold a midfield cover spot in running off what looks a genuine enough tempo with the horses engaged in the race. It's just, I don't know, 18 back to 15. Is she looking for a drop back in trip? Maybe. Just not completely sold, Brad. This is probably the best way to put it. And there's a few at odds I think you could make genuine cases for as well. Fast Flicker is going super. She could just about kick through and lead here once again. The 60 kilos for a mare is a bit of an ask, but she's seriously tough, and who's to say that she can't do it? She was dominant in that easing wild from the breeze last start when not able to find the fence in running. And a horse that is over my price is Cool Memory, who I thought was a super run first up in this company, then went down to Albany off a setback, had a pretty tough run. Not sure that was the best placement of the horse off such a gap between runs. So I think this is much better. It's going to suit him a lot better. No surprise to see him really improve here as well.
Yeah, it was a good whack by you, Ross. Was $18 before the pro money turned up there for Cool Memory, so we've missed the price.
Opinion. It's just an opinion.
No, it's an opinion-based game.
Yeah.
It's opinion with a bit of weight behind it, like a little bit of
race programming.
Not really. It was more just, I just thought it was for a horse who was always going to do his best work over a bit further with these runs through the winter, where he's run super in a Belmont Guineas and an Aquanita off a setback. So
I've got plenty of respect for that horse heading into this race as well. So, one of those races for me, everyone's going to probably pick out a different one, aren't they? Or you need to preach forgiveness probably for a couple, or forgive a setback for another, or forgive a afterthought barrier sticky map for another. You've got to forgive, or you've got to factor in weight for another. It's just
I think the Pierces
do your best.
I think the Pierces are pretty keen. They've got the 2026 Perth Cup winner resuming in this race on the weekend.
He's been trialling well.
Fear the wind.
Yeah,
Nice
by
trial.
Fiorenzo.
Very nice.
Good
trial.
point. Bang on 5 o'clock. Now, we need an update here for the Maulers tips. So here we go. We got to race 5, and Rocking Society's his best. Price was that?
Evens.
Right.
Now, I'm sure he got the 310.
One off the...
He's gone for all play to win. Race 7 is with Heskett the Place. This is a new phenomenon from the Mauler. He's throwing place bets in. Race 8 is with Fast Flicker. He seems to have it into that Triscari camp, and I'll save the last up our sleeve and keep our listeners in
suspense.
Suspenders.
Well, one of our listeners isn't happy, and
nor he should be.
Duffy's requesting. He says maybe we can do a tipping comp, head to head, the Dup v the Mauler, so we can finally stop hearing his tips on the show.
The Mauler. He pays a lot of good cash to me just to come on, just for the tips. Has his 2 daughters listen every afternoon. They drive around and say, "Oh, Dad's tips are still going on the radio. He's pretty good, So I've got to keep doing it for him. Have a look up there at that score in the tennis. Wow. Your man from Wesley.
School Kate
has taken the first set against Sinner.
That's... What would the odds on that have been?
6-4.
That would have been huge odds.
On Rod Laver Arena. The kid. Wow, he'll never forget that. Good on him. We're only talking about that with Ben Patton. Was it Ben? Anyway.
Ben Patton played for St Kilda.
I don't think it was him then. Somebody. Oh, come on. The last event of the day, and he's been in great form, Peter Morley. He's won races again at Bunbury. Just leave something for the battlers, Pete. Ballas Racing Stables, 30th birthday handicap, over the 1,800 metres. And one is Savorsky at $34. Savorsky, 2-star rating, 15. You know I do it on purpose. I dreamed of dreams, 12. 4 Longines is 18 into 10. Wow, look at that. 5 Romeo's $8. 6 Why Me at 4. 7 Magic Whistle, 17. Number 8, His Eminence is 23. 9 Antique Queen, 440 into 390. A 10 Barramundi, 16 into 11. Wow, 11 Knock One Back is 26 into 18. 12 Boys Light Up is 34 from 41. Expelloramus is 41 to 26. Henry Has Spoken is 61 and Play Fair is $21.
What price is Savorsky, Martin?
Savorsky, 34.
Savorsky, 250 each way at the 21.
Mm-hmm.
Antique Queen, 600 at the 440. Romeo, 300 at the 850. Longines, a couple of hundred at the 13. Barramundi, a couple of hundred at the 16. They are both Eastern States Pro supported.
Okay.
Romeo is a local pro. A little bit of local sharp money play fair. And that's
LSM. Local sharp money.
Mm.
I could listen to a show on this radio station. I'd sit there for half an hour and just listen to you butcher horse race names.
I only do it for this show. I'm pretty good for the rest of the week, but for this show, I just saved me my best.
Best work.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
We appreciate it. Yeah, jeepers. Jeepers, Bradley.
BOSH! Poor Mart, just a young fella trying to do his job.
Yeah, doing my best.
Getting abused.
Poor Vince having to price this one up. After getting through 8 of the best. Nice easy finish. Not today, Bradley.
I think I might have done this one first.
Oh, I did it first. Get out of the way.
Sometimes do the big field first before you're...
Surely this just ruins your mood, though, for the rest of the card.
Are you sticking with Why Me?
Oh, wow.
You're not a sticker. It's not your caper, is it really?
This race is not my caper. This
come on.
race.
It's not his bag, baby.
1,800.
How do you not go past El Patron?
Oh. Yeah, exactly. What happened there?
Oh.
It stood out.
You could not have had enough on when they straightened for home last week. And the first thing I get on Sunday morning is I've had about 4 people. 4 people. You're a shocker. They go, Mart's on the aftermath reading your bets out. He gave you a shout out. I said, what bets? They said,
El Patron. Yeah. Why Me, wasn't it?
Yeah. You've had 16,000 on Why Me to get over El Patron. Oh, wow. A great game, eh? But no, all seriousness, can back up and probably win this. But yeah, look, if you can't get past El Patron, you can probably have a week in the sin bin with me.
El Patron might win a couple.
Yeah,
now.
he might. To his credit, he may have come back better this time.
He's got the Vasari form, Rylie.
Yeah, red hot. I genuinely believe that Barramundi can break his maiden in this race in a 60 plus.
Well, you know who you're with, don't you? The Mauler.
His run in defeat last start over the 1,800 in that maiden, with the pressure he had to absorb and how quickly they went, he had no right to finish off the way that he did. I think he can lead this, get some weight off his back, and look, there's no stars here. I think he's got genuine ability and genuine upside. It's just obviously interesting placement again as a maiden into a 60 plus on a Saturday. But you know what? He can win this race, and why not have a crack?
And gets a wonderful map.
Yep.
To find out. Just looks a little bit Lionel, this speed map. You've got Barramundi. Who else goes forward? Probably Expelloramus out wide. Henry Has Spoken. They'll sneak forward maybe.
Magic Whistle hold a spot.
Magic Whistle to definitely hold a spot, and I'd Dreamed a Dream probably hold. They're the two that hold the spots inside there.
Longines will probably kick up and try and hold a position.
Try and hold it, maybe three back the fence or something.
I think...
They can definitely make a case.
I think Knock One Back is at a big price, $18. Pretty impressive win last start in Class 1 company. Just have to be respecting of Arthur Daly's and how they're going at the moment, Mart.
I just love those names because you don't even have to check who trains it, do you? You just go, that'll be... Like, yep, he trains it.
Arthur, airborne.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through a couple here.
Yep.
Not going to back them all, but just going to go through a couple. Very surprised that
We've
it
done
seems
that
like
before.
Troy Turner's gone with Savorsky over His Eminence. So I think His Eminence has come back really well this prep. So just a bit surprised there. But Magic Whistle, she gets a nice map and is sneaking under the radar a little bit off a pretty solid victory last start. The one I want to sort of back is Antique Queen, but I'm not going to get the $5.50 I need to back it on this sort of sticky setup. The one I'm definitely going to back is Playfair down the bottom, who I think is probably a Saturday class stayer who's just sneaking under the radar a little bit. Was the only horse to make up ground last start and be strong through the line in a race that was just absolutely dominated by the leader's back breeze horse. The win at Narrogin was much better than just a win at Narrogin. Out late, halfway down the straight at Narrogin and still ping through them is hard to do. Form lines may not be great, but they're not putrid for maiden form lines. And the runs before that were actually really solid building runs. I think this might be a nice stayer sneaking through.
Okay.
Sneaking under the radar a little bit.
Strong push for play. Can certainly understand Magic Whistle. I think Magic Whistle's a genuine winning chance as well. Brad, Magic Whistle, Knock One Back and Barramundi all at double figures are all genuine chances in a raffle of a race to finish the day. But why me? Probably
wins.
PI double fives in, Mark.
Yeah, I'd stay with Why Me.
Would you?
Instead of... I can't have maidens in 60s. You talk about golden rules, and it probably comes out and wins, and if it does for Teddy in the camp, you beauty. But that is a golden rule.
Apparently, you're not allowed to comment on placement on this show, on this program.
I'm wishing you all the best, Ted. But it's a golden rule of mine anyhow. So
yeah, it's, you know.
You'd have a few.
It just says, it says a fair bit about this race that this horse can genuinely win as a maiden, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay. I'd love to read the Marty Young.
Oh, there's...
How long you got?
Yeah, it's a long book.
It'd be in Braille, wouldn't it?
Morse code in the end. Now, what are we doing our best bets? Because we've got to get moving here. Horses to follow. Oh, no, that's Racing Rewind, isn't it?
That's very good.
Yeah, slim pickings for me, Mart. This is the toughest program for a while. Race 1, Last Chance Saloon with the blinkers on. Another strike for me. Get in and get it early, I hope. I think it looks a perfect setup for him with the headgear going on. Race 4, Back and Save. Play for me, Memory Parade and Crackin' Time. Unless something wild goes from a market sense, wild happens there. Likely Memory Parade, the result, save on Crackin' Time. Going to have something just a little slither, Mars. Not usually my stomping ground, but something small on Flash Paddy.
Yes.
Each way at the 20s.
Yeah, I like that.
In the staying race number 5 on the program. And I'm also going to be siding up with Brad McManus, race 3, number 8 for the 2-year-olds with Perfectly Proper. And depending what the market does with Queen Celise, I could certainly entertain having something small on her as well.
Okay. Now, slowly, Brad, because I get about halfway with your, and then I don't write the ends, and then they all won. You did well last week.
Okay. Race 4, Lons Delete, $10 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Race 5, Flower in the Wind,
yeah,
$7. Race 7, Hostile Talk, $5. Race 9, Playfair each way that may even drift, $21 plus.
Henry Playfair.
I do have a sneaking suspicion this might be a decent sort of stayer.
Right. One here off the text line from Eric, and Eric said, Mart, can you give us another Elphinston like you did last week? The boys never mention your winners, do they? And I said, well, it was only $9 best price. but that's okay.
She out getting a coffee. She can't find the trumpet button.
We don't have to worry too much about that, do we?
Well tipped, Mark.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Renee. You've done well.
It wasn't champagne.
Someone has to hold us up.
Flemington race 10. We're out a bit wide here, but it does go forward with
Well, you do your best work.
14 Revelair at $6.
Revelair?
Yeah.
For the hurdler?
Hey?
For the hurdler?
He branded it a hurdler, yeah. I think it's a bit better than a hurdler.
He branded the horse a hurdler. I'm talking about the jockey.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Didn't brand the jockey.
That's a strong push. The horse looks like a hurdler.
Well, he did say that when he watched the replay of it. And then we're going to Hobart on Sunday, Summer Cup.
What a
Summer
spot.
Cup. And promises kept. Saw it was working on Tuesday. It worked really well. I know it's a bit short for how I normally tip them, but maybe throw that into... Maybe that's your final leg of a multi, so you have to wait all the way to about the second last at Hobart on Sunday to...
Throw that into something at Mount Barker.
Yeah, Barker. What about the sprint?
Yeah, Friday morning. It'll be up Friday morning, time-honoured Mount Barker Mungerup sprint.
Sponsored by TABradio.
Balo's messaged me. He's planning on running the quartet, apparently. Just 4 of the 11 runners, Balo. Just leave something for the battlers, mate. Thanks.
They've got him covered down there. Gupta Nelson and Uncle Hunter.
It's a nice
playing
race.
Rio. They're just shelling peas down there. Sinner 2-all. This Aussie's going well. 6-4 took the first. I've got to check up on our man Fonseca. He won the 4th and now he's locked in a battle with Sanigo at 3-all in the 5th. Oof. So bit of work to be done there. NBL earlier game breakers as selected by Chris Pike. 85 beat the Jackie 75. One thing about young Seb Clark, he loves giving the start. He says, can we give the 6.5 start, Mr. Pike? Yes, you can. Well, he's got it right this time. Well done, Seb. Bit of value into that multi there.
Well done, Sebby.
Yeah. And what about the BBL? We've got a game on at the moment.
Do we really?
Yes, there's games coming at us left, right and centre. 3 for 111, Brisbane Heat. After 11. Gee, that's a lot of runs, isn't it?
Motoring.
Are they ever against the Hurricanes?
Matty Renshaw.
What's happening there?
Going bananas. Or was going bananas before he got run out. I've switched off from the BBL. I'm in a Perth Scorchers-induced coma.
They were just travelling beautifully and all of a sudden the wheels fell off.
The wheels. That's one way to put it.
Did they ever? Every time you look up at that TV and there's that new Emirates ad with Penelope Cruz in first class, you sort of think, don't you? You sort of think how unlucky you'd be if you were up there with her. What would your move be?
One of yours, I'm assuming, Mark?
You know what I'd say to the barman? Give me a glass of beer and then I'd just tip it over my head in front of me and say, hello.
Any danger.
All right, 26 past 5 o'clock. That's it for Straight Up. Tell you what, you're very good today, McGinnity.
Yeah, thanks.
In form.
We hope you enjoyed another stimulating episode of Straight Up. All betting markets supplied by Tab Touch. All care, no responsibility went into the production of today's podcast.